All right, social workers, I have another practice question for you. Let's see if you can get it correct before running to the comment section. All right, here we go. A client frequently criticizes a coworker and makes negative comments about them during therapy sessions. However, when the coworker is present in the workplace, the client goes out of their way to be overly friendly and complimentary towards that person. Which defense mechanism is the client most likely demonstrating? A, projection, B, rationalization, C, displacement, or D, reaction formation. So, I always promote you identifying what type of question you're working with. And this is a perfect example of application because you have to have knowledge about the defense mechanisms to be able to apply it to what the client is actually saying and exhibiting in this question stem. So let's break it down. So A, projection. Projection would not necessarily fit this particular stem because projection is when a client is having uneasy feelings about a person or a situation, but they project their feelings onto someone else. An example of this would be a client may come in and say, my coworkers are trying to undermine me. When actually the client is competitive. The client is trying to possibly undermine their coworkers, but they are projecting their competitiveness and their desire to undermine coworkers onto their coworkers. And so in turn, they say, they're trying to undermine me. This would not necessarily fit this question stem. B, rationalization. So rationalization is when something negative or bad happens to a client, or maybe they even have some negative thoughts or feelings, and they try to recreate the narrative, okay, to help to justify the way that they're feeling. An example of this would be a client may say, hey, I interviewed for the job promotion. I didn't get the job promotion, but I didn't get it because there's a better job out there for me. So the undesired thing happened. They didn't get the promotion, but they're changing the narrative, changing their perspective in the way that they're looking at it. It's to help them to justify or process what has happened to them. So this wouldn't necessarily align or fit with this stem as well. C, displacement. So displacement is when a client may have some negative thoughts or feelings. They basically take it out on a safer target. That could be a person, a thing. They take it out on a safer target. So an example would be, let's say they go out and they went out for the job promotion, didn't get the job promotion. They're upset with the boss, with the hiring manager because they didn't get the job promotion. So they go home and they take it out, take the frustration out on their children. Okay. So the child is a safer target. They're actually angry with the company and the hiring manager, but they take it out on their child. That is displacement. That does not necessarily align with this stem. D, reaction formation. Reaction formation is basically a client acting the opposite of what they really feel. The question stem is a perfect example of this. This client, she really doesn't like the coworker. She comes to session talking about the coworker, but yet when she sees the coworker at work, she goes out of her way to be friendly and complimentary. She doesn't want to be friendly or complimentary. She don't like the coworker, right? So this client is actually acting the opposite of the way that she feels. That's reaction formation. So the correct answer would be reaction formation. I hope that this helps. Listen, you're not stressing over this exam, and we're certainly not going to stress over one question. You are going to read the question precisely and give it your best shot.